Hello, in this video, I'm going to show you how I would write an IELTS Task 2 essay. So the kind of essay that I'm going to show you is a fairly simple, straightforward essay with a fairly simple structure. Now, I know that you might be working for IELTS and needing a band 8, in which case this essay, you probably want to kind of add some stuff to it, but I still think this is a good video for you because many people, even at that kind of band 8 level, still struggle to write a really clear, logical essay. So the topic is very straightforward. I'm not going to be doing anything very complicated, but I am going to really focus on the structure of the whole essay and also of the individual paragraphs. Now, before I go any further, I should also tell you that this paragraph structure that I'm going to use today is not one that I thought of myself. This paragraph structure I have taken from IELTS Simon. If you want help with your IELTS preparation, IELTS Simon's website is really good, but the credit to this particular paragraph structure must go to him. So I'm going to share my screen with you now and talk you through how I would write a simple IELTS Task 2 essay. All right, so here we are. Now, this is a fairly straightforward essay question, and I always choose this topic when I'm teaching someone IELTS Task 2 for the first time. I always start with this topic of studying abroad because, generally speaking, most people who are preparing for IELTS are doing it because they want to study abroad. So this is a topic that you will have experience of, you will have opinions about. So it's a really good one for your kind of early preparation. And the type of question, we've just got a very simple advantages, disadvantages question here. Okay, so there's nothing particularly complex in this question itself. Now, the first thing that you really need to do before you begin to write your actual essay is to get some ideas ready. And I know that this can be really challenging for candidates. So I'm going to just talk you through that kind of generating ideas process. So I'm going to think of maybe 3 or 4 advantages to studying abroad. So maybe you might get a better job if you study abroad and then you go home. Your career prospects, oh, I quite like that phrase, might be better. You might meet lots of really cool and interesting people. You would probably develop your language skills as well. And what else might be an advantage of studying abroad? And maybe you might be able to go to a university that's got more stuff. So better facilities, better equipment, all those kinds of things. But of course, if we've got advantages, we also need to think about the disadvantages. And I think they might be things like this. It can be very challenging to live abroad. You might get culture shock. You might feel very lonely. You might miss your family, all that kind of stuff. Now, I actually knew someone who studied something, I think it was physiotherapy here in the UK. They went back to their country and their qualification was not recognised. So sometimes foreign degrees don't count in the country that you come from. And of course, studying abroad can be extremely expensive, especially if you want to come to the United Kingdom. This is not a cheap country to study in. Anything else? Maybe this. So I've got 4 ideas now for each of these, 4 advantages, 4 disadvantages. And I'm actually going to now get rid of one of them. So I just want to have 3 advantages. And I think I'm going to get rid of this one. I don't like that idea so much. Okay. And then over here, again, I'm going to get rid of this one. So now we've got 3 clear ideas for the advantages and the disadvantages. And once we have this, we can start to write. Now, logically, you would start with the introduction. You don't have to. If you prefer to go on to the main body paragraphs, you can definitely do that. But I am actually going to start with my introduction. Okay, so here is my introduction. Now, if I was writing an IELTS essay, this would be enough for me. So you don't really need to have a very, very long introduction. So the first sentence is my paraphrase of the IELTS question. And students often get very, very worried about this paraphrase, thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to, find a synonym for every word and kind of do all this clever stuff. And yeah, you can do that. So I've got studying abroad, becoming an international student. I couldn't think of a synonym for popular, but I haven't really worried about it. One perhaps flaw with my paraphrase is I haven't really got this concept of increasingly. So I might actually want to change this. And then instead of young people, I've got with the younger generation. So that's my paraphrase. Now, in this second sentence, I've kind of introduced the idea of the advantages and disadvantages. But the word that I really want you to pay attention to is this word here. Now, I always begin my second sentence of an essay, if it's for IELTS, with while or although, because if I do this, I have to write a complex sentence. And this is really important if you want a higher band score, because you must show them that you have to that you can write complex sentences, and by getting one into the introduction, that is a really good way to start your essay. So this is something you can memorize. Sentence 1, paraphrase. Sentence 2, introduce the overall idea with a complex sentence. So now that I've got this, I'm going to start writing my main body paragraphs. Okay, so here is my first main body paragraph, and I've chosen to write about the downsides first because in my introduction, I talked about the downsides first. So again, these are not complicated words, but we've got some synonyms going on here. And that's really important that you've got that range of vocabulary to talk about things in different ways. All right, so here is my first paragraph. And just to talk you through very, 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 very quickly, this first sentence here, this is my topic sentence. And this is really important. Every paragraph you write must have a topic sentence. It's not a complicated sentence. It's not long. It's not difficult. But it just shows the examiner what you are going to talk about. Now, linking words are very important in IELTS. And as you can see, I do have some linking words, but they are fairly straightforward ones. So I've got firstly, secondly, thirdly, and also for example up here. Now, this is fine. Okay, and when I write my second paragraph, I'm going to show you something a little bit different. But there's nothing wrong with words like this, as long as you don't overuse them. Now, I just talked about synonyms, and I've got, even within this paragraph, quite a few examples of synonyms. And I've used the word foreign a little bit, foreign qualifications, foreign students, but this is okay because these words are being used in different ways all the time. Now, the grammar is not complex, it's not difficult. We've got a little bit of a passive down here. We've got a few uses of modal verbs and one continuous tense, but it's not very complex. It is, of course, very accurate. And my suggestion to you is that when you begin studying for IELTS, you really go for simple, clear, and accurate rather than complex and difficult. So now I'm going to write my second paragraph. Okay, so here is my second paragraph. In fact, I'm just going to move it so that you can see it all together. Okay. Yeah, so the second paragraph. Again, we've got a clear topic sentence at the beginning. We've got more linking words here. Again, they're not overly complicated, but they do the job. They do the job quite well. Now, this time I have got some slightly more advanced vocabulary in it. So we've got cutting edge laboratories, sophisticated equipment, communicate efficiency, doors that would remain shut. This is a good one. So I've slightly increased my level of difficulty in terms of grammar and vocabulary. Now, what I would like you to do is to maybe just pause this video and count, just count how many sentences there are in this paragraph. So pause the video now, count the sentences. So hopefully you've done that. I'm going to ask you to do it again. I'd like you to pause the video and count the sentences in the first main body paragraph. Okay, so if you did do that, you will hopefully have noticed that both of the main body paragraphs contain 5 sentences. Okay, and this is what I mean when I was talking about structure. Whenever I write an IELTS Task 2 essay, which, okay, I don't need to do often because I teach it, but whenever I do write one, I always put 5 sentences in all of my main body paragraphs. And we can go into even more detail than that. So we know that sentence 1 is the topic sentence. Then we have the first point. Then we have the second point. Then we have an example. And then finally, we have the third point. So basically, with this structure, I am able to talk about 3 points and give an example. Now, I was working with an IELTS student yesterday who told me that, in IELTS writing, we should, we have to extend our argument and extend our opinions and all that kind of stuff. And this is true. But you also need to be organized and you also need to be logical. And what can happen when people try to be too clever is the paragraphs become too long and they don't make sense. So you need to practice the simple stuff first before you start making life more complicated for yourself. And I would also suggest that, in these paragraphs, the arguments have been extended. So like, for example, here we've got this relative clause. A relative clause is a way of extending your idea. This kind of stuff, just knowing how to structure a simple paragraph and doing it well is really important. So we need the conclusion. And I would, for this question, probably just leave it at that. Okay. Now, we know that we've got 5 sentences in the main body paragraphs. This is a 1-sentence conclusion. And we have a 2-sentence introduction, right? So how many sentences are there altogether? That's it. 13 sentences. So if you can write 13 sentences and organize them well, you can write a good IELTS Task 2 essay. So this is important because a lot of candidates overcomplicate. People overcomplicate IELTS writing. People think, you know, I've got to use advanced grammar and advanced vocabulary, and I've got to have really clever ideas and all this stuff. Honestly, especially if you are at the beginning of your IELTS preparation, keep it simple. Simple is good. Clear structure, accurate grammar, make it logical and clear and easy to read. If you're working for a band 8 and you know you need more complexity, great. But the simple stuff will give you a foundation that you can build the more complicated ideas upon. So I will make another IELTS Task 2 video. In my next IELTS Task 2 video, I'm going to show you a different IELTS paragraph structure that I would use. It's a more complex paragraph structure, but it is a good one, particularly if you're aiming for a band 7 and above. If you are watching this video on YouTube, please do subscribe to my channel because I put a lot of content here all the time. If you have any questions, any comments, if you disagree, maybe you think I'm wrong and perhaps you think we should be making IELTS writing more difficult, I'd love to hear from you. You can put your thoughts in the comments below. And finally, if you are preparing for IELTS, I sincerely wish you all the best. It's a tough exam, but help is out there, and I'm sure you're going to do great. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.